life is funny, and I think that one of the big things that you guys can take away from the speakers today is that when life nudges you, okay, if you know what I'm talking about, you've noticed those things where sometimes life gives you a nudge and you're like, oh, I think that might be something that I want to do, or I think that that's my next step. Listen to those nudges and pay attention to them, because as you go through making decisions, whether it's this year, next year, a couple years from now, those nudges are going to be those things that kind of guide you along the way. So for me, those nudges started happening about 10 years ago, and they really opened my eyes to where I thought I needed to be right now. So first of all, I just want to ask you guys, why'd you come here today? Anybody want to share? Chloe, why'd you come here today? Because you would have gotten in trouble. Yes. Some of you had to be here, okay? Absolutely. What's something else that got you here today? Anybody? Go ahead. Yep, coach would have been on your you-know-what the rest of the day. Yep, absolutely. I know what that's like. Okay, so that's a motivation for you, right? You're motivated to be here because you had to be here. Your coach made you be here. You want the grade. If you don't show up for this class, your grade starts to struggle. That's a motivation, believe it or not, okay? So, but let's talk for a minute about why you were able to be motivated by those things, okay? Because for some of you who haven't shared necessarily, some of you may have thought, I want to come today because I want to hear what these people have to say. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself, all right? I'm going to tell myself that maybe you wanted to come hear us talk today. But there's more behind it than what you think when it comes to motivation. So some of that is being blocked by the shadows. But I'm just going to take a minute and explain to you something. This is a pyramid. Abraham Maslow is a U.S. psychologist, was a U.S. psychologist, okay? Maslow studied exemplary people, all right? Which means people who were very brilliant. Okay, people who were very good at stretching their thinking outside the box and coming up with new things. Most psychologists study mentally ill people, neurotic people, people with varying levels of mental illness. But Abraham Maslow went the opposite way. And he came up with a book and a study and a theory called the theory of human motivation. All right. Now, I'm not expecting you to digest all of this information about the theory of motivation, but I want you to take away from this is that motivation, there's a science behind it. Okay, so it's not just a hype song. It's not just a motivational speaker. It's not just somebody saying to you, "You've got to do this." There are actual scientifically proved reasons why we get motivated every day and every other day. So one of the things that Maslow really talks about is positive or humanistic psychology, and what that means is humans are psychologically motivated by a hierarchy of needs, okay? And in this triangle here, this is the triangle of needs, okay? So think about this. You guys have all seen the food pyramid, different things that have been, leveled out based on what's most important to least important. This really isn't supposed to be, this is the most important at the bottom and then the least important at the top. I kind of wish this was more built like a ladder. But what this is trying to show you is that at the bottom of the pyramid, if you don't have the bottom of this pyramid, the psychological needs, nothing else is going to work. Okay, so what that's showing us up there, psychological needs: air, food, water, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, okay? Those are the very basic human needs that every single human must have to have a very basic quality of life, okay? So if we don't have those things, life is really, really awful, all right? And there are people who don't have these basic needs met on a daily basis. I'm gonna say that most of you have these basic needs met on a daily basis. So as we move up that pyramid, we get into safety, okay? Personal security, employment, health, I have money in my bank, those types of things, okay? So those things help us along the way to be able to get the other things that we need. As we move up the ladder, there's love and belonging, so friendship, family, those types of things. And then esteem and self-actualization. So as we look at these things, I want you to just think for a minute, like, what are the things that you got this morning before you came here today? Did you eat breakfast? Well, that's kind of a bad question because I bet a lot of you didn't. One of the number one things I hear from like 14 to 20-year-olds about their morning is, I didn't eat breakfast, or I didn't get enough sleep last night, okay? But that really matters. So every morning, if you get enough sleep, and if any of you who have coaches, that's another thing they're probably riding you on a lot, is eat and sleep, okay? You don't feel good if you don't have enough sleep. You don't feel good if you don't eat the right foods or eat enough. So those are two very basic human needs, and it's more than just recovery. It's more than just getting through your day. It's a basic need of motivation. So those are types of things that you're gonna need to be able to get through every day and be able to carry out daily tasks. So moving on, I want you to think for a minute about what needs you've had met today, okay? I'm gonna bet that you have a place to live, okay? I'm gonna bet that you ate breakfast, or maybe you ate something. In the last 12 hours, you probably had something put in your belly, all right? Whether it was dinner last night, whether it was snacks, whether you had a granola bar on the way today, okay, that counts, all right? Clothes, you're all wearing clothes, thank goodness. Okay, thanks for doing that today. Health, okay? You're all here generally healthy, all right? You're all feeling good, okay? If you're not feeling good and you're homesick, that is a barrier to our motivation, for sure. But you're all here today and you seem to be feeling well. Friends, family, community, okay? You probably have a community of people here at college, or if you don't yet, you're getting there, people who you can rely on. Whether it's professors, coaches, roommates, friends across the hall, or maybe it's people from a distance. You have people supporting you, and that's one of the most important things that helps motivate us every day, is having a community or a family of people, near or far, who's helping us through every day. Self-confidence. Believe it or not, that's another piece of motivation. So if we lack self-confidence and we lack the ability to believe in ourselves, that's another deterrent to our daily motivation. So that's when we get into positive self-talk, talking to other people about positivity and staying and having a good mindset. The last one is acceptance, okay? And I know that one is something that we struggle with at varying points in our life, whether, I mean, obviously we all went through middle school. I work in a middle school. Acceptance is like everything in middle school, okay? If you don't have friends, it's the end of the world. If the person sitting next to you doesn't like you, it's the end of the world, okay? That is my daily life. I deal with that every day, and I tell these kids, it is gonna be okay. You don't have to not everybody has to be your friend, all right? But feeling accepted and finding a place where you feel like you belong is super important, and that's gonna help with your motivation. Okay, what are you missing out of these things? I want you to just ask yourself that question really quick. What are you missing in these things? If you didn't get your basic needs met this morning, that's a place to start. If you are consistently not getting enough sleep, if you're consistently not eating well, that's a place to start. And I guarantee you, you're gonna feel 100 times better if you start with that basic need first, okay? And your days are gonna start to seem a lot brighter. Okay, moving on. Extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Okay, so we're gonna do a little exercise. Not really exercise, but like I'm gonna make you think for a minute. Okay, extrinsic motivation. Okay, so extrinsic motivation is completing a task because you have to. All right, I heard you had to be here because if you weren't here, coach was gonna be mad at you. Okay, that's an external motivator. That's something that's motivating you because you have to do it. And if you don't do it, there's a consequence. There's a punishment attached to it, okay? It's also something that you do to receive a reward. You came here, you are rewarded with the benefit of your coach saying, good job, you went to class today. Thanks for being there, okay? That's an extrinsic motivation. When we are constantly motivated by external sources, we are more likely to get burnout, okay? So school gets boring. I don't want to do this assignment. I don't want to read this book. I don't want to write this paper. If you think about why you have to do those things, most of the time it's because I have to do it because I have to get this grade. I have to graduate. I have to get this job. If I don't complete these things, I'm going to have a punishment. Or if I'm going to complete these things and I do complete them, then I graduate, then I get a job, okay? So those things are all good. Those things aren't necessarily bad, but they don't carry us through the long term. Okay, generally those things are very short-term motivators for us. If we look at intrinsic motivation, this is when you hear people talk about find your why. Has anybody ever been asked that question? Find your why? Okay. Find out why, figure out why you're doing something. So that's a question that at the stage of life you're in right now, you probably haven't asked yourself that very often. But there's a reason that you're here today. Okay, there's a reason that you came to Fort Dodge, you came to Iowa Central, you walk through these doors every single day, and you're here. There's a reason. But it takes a little bit of a deeper thinking to figure out why. I guarantee you didn't decide to go to college because somebody told you you had to. Well, maybe they did. But there's probably a little bit of an something that you want to accomplish besides just showing up at Iowa Central for 2 years. So those intrinsic motivators are what are going to give us those long-term effects, the long-term motivation that we need to become bigger and greater and brighter. So intrinsic motivation, it's playing a sport because it feels good. We like it. We love it. It's our life. I hear that a lot. It's my life. It's who I am. Your sport can be your why. If you like to clean, I like to clean. Cleaning is an intrinsic motivation for me. I like to have a clean house, not because I'm a crazy person and I just need everything to be clean all the time, but because it gives me peace. It helps me feel peaceful in my environment if my house is clean. If there's things all over the place and it's constantly chaotic, I don't feel at peace with my surroundings and I have a hard time relaxing. So for me, having a clean house gives me the opportunity then to relax. So that's an intrinsic motivation for me. If you enjoy games or puzzles, those things you like to do those things. Those are enjoyable for you. So that's intrinsic motivation to be able to do those things. And eventually, if you're not there yet, finding a subject that you enjoy studying will become an internal motivation for you because it's something you love. Okay, when I started studying athletic training, strength and conditioning, human physiology, human anatomy, those things, I didn't have to do it. I wanted to do it. Those were the things that I was passionate about and I really wanted to learn, and I just couldn't get enough of it. So that was intrinsic motivation for me, and eventually got me to a long-term goal of where I wanted to be. Okay, moving on. Find your why. Okay, so where you're at right now, your why may be different than it was a year ago. It could be different 6 months from now. My why changed a lot over the course of 10 years, and it still changes. I have 3 kids at home, 3 boys. My why has changed as they've grown because I'm intrinsically motivated differently than I was 10 years ago. And that's okay. That's actually a good thing. If your why is the exact same as you go from where you're at today to when you're 30, it might seem a little strange. Okay, it doesn't mean that if you decide to be a teacher that you're not always going to be a passionate teacher. It doesn't mean that if you become, a professional basketball player, that you're not always, your why isn't always because you love basketball. But there might be other things involved, right? There might be people that you care about that you want to help along the way. So one of the things that I want you to think about when you are thinking about how do I find my why, I want you to think about having a desire to be the most that you are meant to be. A desire to be the most that you are meant to be. Not what someone else wants you to be. Not what your coach expects you to be. What are you meant to be? Okay? So in the process of that, I need you to think about a couple of things. I want you to practice acceptance. Acceptance of yourself and who you are. Acceptance of the people around you. I want you to be spontaneous. Having a plan is great. Having a schedule is great. But don't forget to have a little fun and take risks. Playing it safe all the time sometimes doesn't get us where we need to be. Get comfortable being alone. That's a hard one. Be okay sitting alone in a room with your own thoughts. Be comfortable being alone in your opinions and in your thinking. You don't always have to follow the crowd. If you believe something and you believe in something wholeheartedly, it's okay. Just because somebody else doesn't, that's okay. Appreciate the small things. It's getting cold out. I pulled out my favorite sweater the other day. Oh, that's just the best. Getting that sweater out in the fall, lighting a candle in the fall, turning the fireplace on, little things like that. Going to Starbucks. No, I'm not a pumpkin spice person. Caramel macchiato all the way. Okay? But those little things, they may seem trivial, but those are the things that keep us going some days when everything else is hard. All right? Find things you love and appreciate them. Be compassionate. Understand that things are hard for you, but also other people. And understand that everybody's got it hard. Everybody's going through hard things, and that's okay. Just take it one day at a time. And lastly, I skipped live authentically. I'm sorry. Be you. Just be you. Just be who you are. Because who you are is exactly who you're meant to be. And that's going to get you to that next step. Talk it out. If you're struggling, talk to somebody. It's the best thing I ever did. Okay. How do I go back? Oh, okay. So this is really weird. Last night, I was finishing up some of my slides, just kind of rehearsing, and I looked at Twitter real quick. I love Twitter. Don't bother me with Facebook or anything else. I love Twitter. John Gordon tweeted this last night, 6:49 a.m. yesterday. I saw it last night. Last night it had 3,500 likes. Look at all those retweets. Okay, John Gordon said yesterday morning. If you don't know who John Gordon is, look him up. Remember your why today. We don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. You're here to make a difference, and you can right where you are. Look them up. It's good stuff right there. Don't forget why you're doing something. That's the most important thing. Okay. Mindset. You're probably sitting here going, well, this is great and all, but how do I start doing hard things? How do I start doing these things every day? Okay? You've probably heard 1,000 times, mindset is everything. It is. It really is. Waking up every day and deciding what your day is going to be like really matters. Now, you can't control everything that happens to you. You can't control all the curveballs that get thrown your way. But you can control how you react and how you absorb all of the stresses that happen to you. Okay? I talk a lot about with my kids, absorb it. Okay? If they throw a curveball at you, absorb it. Okay? It doesn't have to hit you like a ton of bricks and take you down. Absorb it, feel it, think about it, take a breath, and then decide how you're going to react. That's where the magic happens. But every day, you have to wake up and decide that you're going to work through something to get to something. You got to get through a lot of things in order to get where you're going. It's really easy, guys, to get overwhelmed by preparing, by planning, by what the next thing is. But I promise you, if you prepare one day at a time, it's going to be okay. Okay? Prepare. The night before, prepare. The morning of, before you've got something that night, prepare. Study for that test. Right there in that moment, it might not feel good, but your future self is going to thank you. So the way you feel right now about a decision might not be where you want it. That might not be the decision you want to make, but your future self is going to thank you. I ask myself that a lot. I really don't want to fold this load of laundry right now. But tomorrow, when I'm looking for my favorite sweater and I can't find it, I'm going to be really happy that I did. Because I'm going to be able to pull it out and I'm going to be able to wear it. And then my future self is going to go, good job, self. I'm glad you did that for me. Okay. Also, take it one day at a time. Consistently. Consistency is key, guys. Doing the little things consistently is way better than doing the big things once in a while. All right. Who in here has read a book by Joshua Medcalf? Oh, you guys. Okay. If you've heard of the book, When in the Dark, Chop Wood, Carry Water. Joshua Medcalf is a great reader if you want to look at some things about mental toughness, mindset, positivity, leadership. His motto on mental toughness: have a great attitude, give your very, very best. Treat people really, really well. Operate with unconditional gratitude even when you think your circumstances suck. Be thankful for the things that you do have even when things suck. That's hard. But if you can learn how to do that now, you're going to be a lot better off when you're my age. Okay. The success hotline, I want you guys to write this number down. I guarantee you this isn't some weird stranger's number, okay? This number you can call every single day. and you can get a motivational talk. It's a message, it's a recording on a voicemail, but it gives you an amazing message every single day. It's the easiest thing you do. You got your phones with you all the time? Go for it, okay? I promise you, if you can add a little bit of positivity to your life every single day, if you can give yourself the chance to prepare every day for the hard things, you're going to get there. But take it one day at a time. But always have that plan in mind for down the road. Okay. These are a couple book recommendations I have for all of you. Things that I've read, a couple of them are, there's a combination, nonfiction, fiction. Okay, Brene Brown's great. Joshua Medcalf, I've got his top 3 that I love in there. Grit by Angela Duckworth, that's a good one, especially if you are an athlete. Well, all of them are great. Educated by Tara Westover, that book changed my life. It didn't come out that long ago, but it changed my life. I still think about it daily, okay? I highly recommend that to everyone. Okay. I am done. Whoa. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, do you hear me? Hello, hello. So thank you so much, Katie. Our next speaker is Andrea Larson, and she is going to talk a little bit about physical health. So,
Good morning. My name is Andrea Larson. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I work at the Iowa Heart Center over at the hospital here in town. And I was asked to just come and speak to you guys today just a little bit about creating long-term health and wellness for yourself. And I loved what Katie said about really thinking about your future self and how decisions you guys make today affects the rest of your life. So I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this, and a little bit of it's hidden behind the lights up there. But this is a wellness pyramid, okay? And you can see, like what she showed you guys with the motivational pyramid, the foundation of what ultimately builds our bodies, our minds, our spirits, health and wellness starts with eating correctly, exercise, rest, and stress management, reducing our toxic load, informed self-care, and then proactive medical care. So I'm just going to briefly touch on these different areas and give you a few tips on things that you guys can start implementing now. At the end, there's a QR code that you guys can fill out a Google form if you want more information. I was a nurse in the ICU over at the hospital, and I was just struck day after day after day at how decisions patients I was seeing regularly affected their development of chronic disease, and how these people had so much regret that they wish they would have known earlier in life so they could have made changes or avoided things so they didn't wind up as the patient in the ICU. Did you know that the development of heart disease begins as early as our teen years? The lining of our blood vessels begins to malfunction because of bad genes, poor diet, lack of exercise, poor sleep, poor stress management, exposure to toxins like tobacco, cleaning products, self-care products, all sorts of things. And that creates bad cholesterol that accumulates in the intima, or the lining, of our heart arteries. The inflammatory cells in our body then cause the lining of our arteries to harden. And this develops something that we call a fibrous plaque. And as we get older, so it does this for like 30 years, and as we get older, if we make no lifestyle changes, that plaque begins to grow and grow and grow and grow, till ultimately it restricts blood flow to your heart muscle, or, it can happen in the arteries in your neck and the arteries in your legs. And it can lead to things like heart attack and stroke. Despite what you may think, in 2020, the leading cause of death in the United States for both men and women was heart disease. More people die from heart disease every year than every single cancer combined. It's a huge epidemic in our country, and it does not get enough publicity, in my opinion. And that's why I'm here today, is because I want you guys to know. I wish I would have known when I was sitting in your seat the things that I've learned and the things that I see on a daily basis at the hospital. Okay, so the foundation of that pyramid is eating correctly. And we eat because we're hungry, but really we should see food as fuel. We need to focus on nourishing our body for our long-term health. And if you are experiencing a lot of weight fluctuations, that is a sign that you have insulin resistance and a metabolism that's broken. And like I said at the end, if you want more information on that, you can fill out that QR code at the end, and I'd be happy to share more information with you about that. Restrictive diets in general are not sustainable. We should approach eating and food in general as like do the small things every day, like what Katie talked about. And then I recommend that you take a good quality supplement, because our food today just isn't as nutritious as it was 30 years ago, and that has to do with soil depletion, and our food is shipped from all over the world, so it's picked before it's ripe. So for lots of reasons, nutritional deficiencies cause about 90% of the chronic illness that we see here in the United States. So some tips on eating correctly. First, always drink water. You should be drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. If you are an athlete, you need to be drinking more than that. Because when you're at practice, your body, you're sweating, and you need to be replenishing that fluid that your body needs to be able to function properly. So eat more vegetables, which is something everybody loves to hear. Eat lots of fruit, lots of protein. And protein, if you are an athlete, you should be eating more than 100 grams of protein a day. Eat some carbohydrates. If you are an athlete, you probably need more carbohydrates. And these are not refined sugars like white bread. Eat good carbohydrates like a baked potato or a sweet potato, something like that. And eat some fats. We do actually need fats for our brains to function correctly, but eat healthy fats like avocado and things like that. And then significantly limit or completely eliminate sugar from your diet if possible. And it's shocking how much sugar is in everything that we can consume. When I talk to patients at the hospital who have had a heart attack, I tell them, when you go to the grocery store, shop on the outside of the aisles. Generally speaking, the food in the aisles is not good for you. The fresh produce, the things that come from the earth, the plants that grow from the earth, the animals that eat plants that grow from the earth, those are the fresh things that we should be eating. Those are what will have the nutrients our body needs. So shop on the outside of the grocery store. Do not shop in the aisles. Okay, so the second block of the pyramid is exercise. So the current recommendation by the American College of Cardiology is a total of 150 minutes of exercise each week, which breaks down to about 30 minutes of exercise for 5 days a week. And it's easy to do. Exercise is really easy to do, but it's also easy not to do it. And the benefits are really endless. It is a natural way to detox. Bowel movements are the #1 way our body detoxes, and sweat is the #2 way our body detoxes, and that's getting rid of the junk, the illness that you're exposed to. Your body's trying to get rid of that stuff, and sweat's a really great way to do that. It also increases your oxygenation. It increases endorphins, which is actually happy hormones. It helps reinforce strong bones. Having strong core muscles helps prevent back pain. And it helps you maintain a healthy BMI, which reduces your risk of developing chronic disease over the course of your lifetime. So some tips I have to either get motivated or stay consistent are have a workout plan or a schedule. If you're an athlete, that's really easy because somebody's already made that plan for you. But if you are not an athlete here on campus, there are tons of resources available online, great plans that you can follow, or apps. There's so many options. Just find something that you can stick to. Block time for that. For me, I get up in the morning and exercise. I've got 4 kids, and it's like a rat race when I get home from school until bedtime. So in the morning is when I'm able to be most consistent. Find a workout buddy. It's way more fun to do things with friends. And if you don't enjoy cardio, that's actually a good thing, because lifting is actually more effective than cardio for fat burning. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism will be. So lifting, even for girls, lifting is a very effective way for toning and fat loss. Don't worry about your outfit. You do not have to have cute clothes to exercise. Nobody actually cares, unless you're posting selfies on Instagram, because a workout doesn't seem to count unless you post about it these days. And then don't beat yourself up if you miss a day. Just move on, start over tomorrow. It's the consistency, the small things that you implement every day. Okay, so rest and restore. So if you can read up there at the top with me, and this is just a summary of some findings from a bunch of different resources there, the National Institute of Mental Health. Mental health illness rates are significantly higher for adolescents and young adults. About 50% of people in your age bracket now identify as having some kind of mental illness. And the last 18 months has just made that even worse. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, 67% of college students who felt suicidal reported telling a friend, which is great, and 21.6% of college students said depression impacted their ability to study. So this is a very significant thing. Whether or not you just want to be a better student or just want to have the energy to get out of bed in the morning, or if you want to up-level your ability to be an athlete. These are so easy, but make such a humongous impact on your body's overall health and your mind's overall health. So some of my tips are sleep for 8 hours a night, and that's really hard. But you should think about breaking your day up into thirds. So a third of the day we work or do things that we have to do. A third of the day you should do things that you enjoy doing or play. And then a third of the day you should spend sleeping. And actually, your body really benefits from you being in bed by 10 p.m. because that's when your body shifts into this recovery and restore mode. There's lots of studies that show improved rates of depression, improved, you're not sick as often, you have more energy, all these when you simply go to bed at a decent time. Leave at least 2 hours each week free where you don't schedule anything to do something fun for yourself that you enjoy. Limit social media. That's extremely hard, but there's lots of studies coming out about how much our social media consumption is impacting our minds, and that's why the rates of mental illness are increasing in young adults. So really consider your social media use. Use things like essential oils, yoga, prayer, meditation, mindfulness, read a book, journal, all these sorts of things that help your body process these stress hormones that we have. It activates our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, which drive this fight or flight response that we have. If you constantly feel anxious, you probably have a fight or flight response that's in overdrive. And implementing these things will help calm those reactions down so that you don't start developing the chronic illness over the course of your lifetime. All right, reduce your toxic load. So I have some QR codes there. This article was actually just published on the 12th by CNN, that synthetic chemicals in consumer products is now linked to early death. And there's over 100 deaths every year that are directly linked to consumption of toxic products. And I used to think that just because it was sold at the store, it must be safe, and that is not true. There is no regulation at all in the United States on the products that are sold. And toxins are found in candles, wax, shampoos, deodorant, vapes, cleaning products, laundry detergents, that perfume or cologne that you like to wear. All of those things affect your hormones and actually increase inflammation in your body and make you more likely to become sick, more likely to develop chronic disease over the course of your lifetime. So down here at the bottom, there's a QR code. It's kind of blurred out there. It's called the Environmental Working Group. And it's an independent website that actually tests and screens self-care products. And you can go to that website. There's also an app. It's called the EWG. You can scan your products to see how clean they are. So I would encourage you guys to check that out. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money to make some swaps out in your personal care products, but it can make a tremendous difference in your health. All right, and then self-care. And I think self-care includes pretty much everything we've already talked about. But engaging in self-care practices regularly has been clinically proven to reduce or eliminate anxiety and depression, reduce stress, improve concentration, minimize frustration and anger, increase happiness, and improve energy, which is something we all want, right? So some of my tips, and Katie talked a lot about these in her Find Your Why. Emotional self-care, environmental self-care, financial self-care, intellectual self-care, physical self-care, and social self-care. Relationships matter. Okay. And then, of course, proactive care, and that's where I come in. So it's amazing. All these other things we've talked about is actually things that you guys can do. You don't even need me to help you with those things. But I would encourage you to establish care with a primary care doctor. Develop a relationship with a primary care provider that listens to your needs. Whether that's a traditional family practice provider. Some people identify better with an integrative health provider or even a chiropractor. So, to summarize, when we know better, we have an opportunity to do better. And if you enjoyed what you learned today, there's the QR code for the Google form.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Next up, we have Kendra. Kendra is going to come up and further motivate you guys. So let's give Kendra a round of applause.
Does anyone really feel like they need motivated after those two women, though? All right, guys. So my name is Kendra, and I'm going to be quite honest and tell you I am not tech savvy. So whenever Katie came up here with her laptop, I looked at Rochelle, and I was like, do I need to have a laptop? Because I don't own one, you guys. A little bit about me. I am from Fort Dodge originally. How many of you are from Fort Dodge? Just a few. So there are quite a few of you in here that are maybe out of your element, right? Maybe you're meeting new friends. So my topic today is actually about personal greatness. So I graduated from the senior high. I then went on for radiology. Are there any of you in here that are in the radiology program at Iowa Central? No, okay. So I wanted to leave home. First I went to Iowa State, I was majoring in dietetics. That wasn't for me, that campus was too big. I left there, went on to a 2-year degree, worked in the medical field for 13 years, and then like Rochelle said, I'm an entrepreneur. Guys, if you would have told me at the age of 20 that I would be an entrepreneur, I probably would have laughed in your face. It was not in the cards. Public speaking definitely wasn't in the cards, still really isn't. But I was following my passion. I was listening to those around me. I was listening to someone else. I was always thinking there's got to be more to life. So I then started, as these guys were talking about supplements, that's what I do. I sell a supplement, and then I also own a do-it-yourself photography studio in Tampa, Florida. So are you guys motivated right now? It's 9:08. How many of you feel motivated right now? Jeff. All right, a total of 2 of you. So I'm going to challenge you guys to go back to what Katie was talking about, your why. If you're waking up every single morning and you're truly questioning, who am I? Why am I here? Guys, your parents, I'm sorry, they're not here. That's a good and a bad thing. But you no longer have your parents telling you, you've got to wake up, brush your teeth, take a shower. When was the last time you showered? Guys, I have kids that are now 10 and 13, and I ask that question daily. Have you brushed your teeth? Did you do your homework? They're not here anymore. This is on you. This is you having, look at me shaking, Rochelle. You have to decide why you're here. What are your grades? I mean, I can guarantee those of you that are probably paying for your college versus your parents, you're probably a little bit more into what your grades are going to be. But it's not even, it's what do you want to do after this? This is a stepping stone. So on to my notes. Will you, oh, let me grab this.
Oh, yeah.
No. Just hit the down arrow.
Or
Over. All right. My first question, though, do you even know how great you are? Because I guarantee you guys, I lead a team of thousands of people, and the number one thing whenever I get on a phone call or a Zoom meeting is, I don't deserve this, or why me, or I can't do that. And they're comparing themselves to someone else. This world is trapped when, was it Andrea? Is that, okay. Guys, these 2 incredible women, I don't even know that we're up here, and I'm thinking, I need to like lock arms. I need to be accountability partners. That's who I need to surround myself with. But whenever she was talking about social media, we're sitting there, we're trying to compare, like you're thinking, I'm like, who are you? And you're like, I don't even know who I am. That's why you guys need to start digging. That's what you need to start searching for. But you're thinking, I'm not that cool TikToker dancer. I cannot dance. I'm not like that author, like whoever she was talking about on the side, and I did take a picture of those authors. I can't write like them. So who cares? You can write, you can draw, you can, maybe knit. I don't know what your different hobbies are, but you need to know. All right. So this is my husband. My husband is a man of few words, does not do social media, is a UPS driver. Honestly, whenever I started working on self-care, started doing personal development, he looked at me like I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He was like, what? You're going to a seminar? What? Why are you reading that book? He thought it was like cuckoo, he's old school. And I asked him last week, I said, if you were to talk to your college self, if you were to, talk on the subject of personal greatness, what would you say? And Rochelle knows Cole. He goes, all you have to do is think you're amazing, and you are. And I looked at him and I go, if only it was that easy. But you guys, it really is. Here's the problem. We all have a different past. We all have maybe secrets in the closet. We all have things that maybe affected us whenever we were a child. We all had someone that said something to us like, you're never going to be the quarterback at Iowa Central. You're never going to be able to do that. Why do you think you would be able to do that? If you do that, you're just going to fail. That's weird. You guys, I've heard it all. Trust me, like I told you, I sell supplements online and I own a do-it-yourself photography studio. If you don't think I've heard everything in the book, I've heard it all. I've heard everyone. But what they're saying is that's not for them, that they can't do it. It's not that you can't do it, it's that they can't do it. And you're letting them define your future. So, what if you actually focused on what you're good at? Because constantly, you guys, I can get up here and I can be like, I hate public speaking. guys, it makes me nervous. But instead, I'm like, you know what? I have a story to tell. I have maybe some motivation to give. Or I'm not really good at lifting weights. They were talking about personal development. So what if you could go to the gym? Guys, I work out sometimes at this Iowa Central gym. There's a rec coliseum. There's like 5 or 6 gyms, I think, total here in Fort Dodge. Online, you can get on YouTube and search free workouts. The thing is maybe you're not good at doing those deadlifts, but you're really good at doing like a hang clean or something, or jumping on the treadmill. Stop focusing on what you're bad at and start focusing on what you're good at. Stop tearing yourself apart. So some things that I've found, though, to find like my inner peace. They talked about inner peace. How many of you do community service? A few of you. How many of you walk away from that community service and you're like, oh, that felt so good? Like all the time. You guys, right now in my car, I just went through my kids' closet. I have 2 things to donate to a shelter and to someone who's in need. I don't have to do that, but whenever I leave there, I feel so good knowing that I'm helping impact other people. Maybe exercise, I wrote down. Baths. Yeah, I wrote down shopping too because I like it, but here's the reality. You also heard them talk about finance, and you guys had 2 weeks of finance. If you don't have the money, let's not go doing retail therapy, right? Okay, so we are all made on purpose for a purpose, and none of us are exactly alike. Can you imagine if 2 of us were exactly alike, how boring this world would be? I was at a seminar, and it was a lady that was had done like this crazy marathon in like, I don't know, the jungle, and there were a team of 5, and they had to bike, they had to run. I mean, it was this intense thing, and she said the 5 of them trained, and all of them were different. And she said if the 2 of them trained exactly alike, that one of them wasn't needed, and they'd need a new teammate. And I thought, guys, we're all trying to be like the person next to us whenever we all bring something different to the table, and what we bring to the table is your strength. So stop hiding behind maybe social media. Stop thinking, oh, at my old town, because most of you aren't from here, you're in a new town. You're meeting new friends. If that old person wasn't you, and you were just putting on a mask or a persona, you can be you here. And if someone doesn't like you, guess what? They're not your group. They're not your cup of tea. Like, what's that saying? You can be the sweetest peach in the world and someone's not gonna like a peach, right? It's okay. This is your chance to let the real you come out. So let me ask, I know no one volunteered earlier, but how do you describe yourself? If I was to say, like, just describe yourself. Does anyone want to raise their hand? Volunteer? Well, I already know you're not motivated this morning. You told me that about 5 minutes ago. So, for me, I would maybe say I'm adventurous. I would say I'm outgoing. I definitely never give up, right? Some different things like maybe you would say is athletic, artistic. But then you also have some bad things, right? Like I'm very short-fused, impatient. We all have things that are good things and are bad things. But are you maybe too much for someone? Who the heck cares? Find a crowd that loves you for you. You guys, I can tell you my tribe, they love me for me. All of the imperfections. The 5 people that you surround yourself with, has anyone heard this? And I'm guessing you have. The 5 people that you surround yourself with are who you're most likely to be. Make sure you choose wisely. If you're hanging out with 5 people that are bringing you down, telling you can't do it, maybe making poor choices on the weekend, skipping class, toxic, drama-filled. Guess what? How many of you have ever been at a table and people are talking bad about someone and all of a sudden you're like chiming in and you don't even really feel that way? Find a new group. Be positive. As I said, high school is in the past. You no longer have those parents telling you what to do. But this is also your time to decide what fills your cup, not your partner next to you, not your roommate, not even your coach if you're an athlete here. You, what fills your cup? And guys, I'm kind of duplicating some of this stuff. They said it's amazing how it all ties in. But you have to be able to motivate yourself and know your dreams. Are you doing the bare minimum and not living up to your potential? Because like I said earlier, I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my son, my oldest one, I will say, Colton, did you do this yet? And he's like, I do more than Tucker. I'm like, okay, I didn't ask about Tucker, I asked about Colton. Well, I'm faster than Tucker, and I'm like, I want my kids to live up to their true potential, to stop comparing themselves to each other. And some of you are looking at maybe your roommate and you're like, I clean more than her. So I'm like Katie. My bed, it was made this morning. How many of you made your bed this morning? Let's talk about that. Not very many. I didn't either in college. My challenge to you is there's a YouTube video. It's also a book, and it's a very easy read, guys. It's called Make Your Bed. But there's a YouTube video, and he was, I believe, a speaker at a college graduation. But it talks about if you make your bed in the morning, guys, it doesn't have to, my dad was in the Navy. It doesn't have to be like crisp, clean sheets and everything else and straight, but make your bed. So if everything else goes to heck in the handbasket throughout the rest of the day, you at least made your bed. You at least did one thing right that day. Because trust me, some days are just not going to be the best. So, all right. Okay, comparing yourself to someone else's ruler, right? So my son, whenever I say he's comparing himself, well, I did more than Tucker today. I did more chores than him. I was outside more than him. I threw more, because they're in every sport you can imagine. I threw more than him. I caught more. I'm like, well, cool. But I want Colton to be the best Colton possible, and I want Tucker to be the best Tucker possible. So whenever I'm looking at you guys, I'm not trying to compare those two. I don't know their past. I don't know what they're dealing with. I don't know their, struggles. I don't know how many credits they're taking. I want you to be the best you. I want you to be the best you. Oh. Get involved. Some of you guys, I went to Iowa State. It was very easy to maybe just blend in my first, semester. But why? There are so many different programs and so many different opportunities that are here that you can take advantage of. And if you're thinking, I like to, I scrapbook, I don't know. Is that even a thing anymore? Because now technology's out. I don't even think people scrapbook. But maybe I like to scrapbook and it's not here. Start it. You guys, there's so many different things that I think, oh, that's a good idea. And my husband's like, well, if it's not here, start it. I'm like, okay. So I've started a lot of things. And guess what? I failed at so many things. The reason people don't take a shot is because they're afraid of failing. Here's the thing, you guys. You're going to fail the rest of your life. Like, failing doesn't mean that you're a failure. Failing, you either, what is it, the saying? You either win or you learn. Right? You either win or you learn. If you're learning, guess what? That's going to make you who you are in 10 years. Because in 10 years, maybe you're going to be up here talking and you're going to be like, well, I skipped that class, and I failed it. You're going to know never to skip another class, right? Hopefully. Or you're just going to stay in the same patterns, I guess. But what's holding you back? Routinely, it's other people's opinions. You're letting those outside voices be louder than your own. In the morning, I'm going to challenge you. This is going to sound so voodoo. You're going to wake up, whether it's a devotion in the morning, maybe it's a journal, you're going to get out a notebook and you're going to write down, I am. You're going to write down, I am beautiful. I am athletic. I am, going places. And you're going to, because whenever you say that stuff, at first it's going to feel really weird, you guys. I am grateful. Whenever Katie was talking about being grateful for her sweater, I'm grateful for the smallest, simplest things, but too many times we're focused on the negative things once again. I am going to school every single day next week. I am going to the gym 5 days a week next week. And then tell your roommate or your accountability partner, because whenever you voice something, whenever you tell them about it, chances are you're actually going to put that into action. So Andrea did make a joke about every time you work out, you need to post it. Some people need that accountability with social media, right? So your past, you've failed before, you're worried to fail again. And then yourself, you don't believe that you're capable of greatness. There's someone in your past that's maybe told you, you don't deserve it, you're not going to do it, Could be someone close to you, or it could be someone that literally made like a 5-second thing being like, you're never going to be able to do that. And that 5-second sentence has stuck with you for years to come. Guys, that person, people are only worried about themselves. I mean, let's be honest. Their opinion of you, it doesn't need to be your opinion of you. They just said it. They're not meaning it. They don't even care. They've moved on, right? But yet you're letting that one 5-second comment hold you back from your true greatness. Take time every day to do something that fills your cup. They mentioned 2 hours a week. You could either break it down to 2 hours a week, or you could try to do something 20 or 30 minutes a day. And that's whenever I was talking about baths, walking, maybe it's that you like to, she was talking about putting puzzles together. Get involved on this campus. Stop rolling through the motions because, guys, life goes so fast, so fast. And you're going to look back at the end whenever you graduate, whether you move on to Iowa State, you graduate from a 2-year degree here, you're going to look back and think, did I make the most of my time here? Because I will be quite honest and tell you the real world, it's real right now. And you have the rest of your life to work, so why not make the most of your time while you're here versus just waking up, being asleep at 9:20, going back and probably napping or scrolling social media and always planning for the next activity, right? How many of you are constantly thinking, this is what I've got to do next, this is what I've got to do next, and this is what I've got to do next, and you're not living in the moment? Is anyone like that? Yeah. Yeah, I used to think, oh my gosh, if my kids all of a sudden get out of diapers, then it will be cheaper. What's that noise? I thought maybe that was my timer, which it probably is time. If my kids get out of diapers, as soon as they're out of daycare, as soon as they can get themselves ready, and all of a sudden I was like, Kendra, you're like wishing like the next step away. You guys are thinking, as soon as I graduate college. Well, yeah, you're going to graduate, but then it's the real world for a lot of years to come. So enjoy this time. Be you. Go out and express yourself. So clap for yourself. Guys, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. As crazy as it sounds, not everyone out there is going to want to see you succeed. Someone's going to see that all of a sudden you're working out 3 days a week, and they're going to be like, she's doing that for that guy up the street, or, oh, she's doing this. People are going to be toxic. They're going to be negative. You have to be the loudest voice and clap for yourself. So I'm going to close with, I posted on social media yesterday, and I asked my friends or acquaintances, if you could talk to your college self about personal greatness, what would you say? So I'm going to read a few things. And guys, I'm older than you. You're closer to my kids' age than me. But if I could tell my college self anything, it would be that I am enough. How many of you tell yourself that you're enough? Who you are right now, whether it's, wearing sweatpants, because I wish I could wear those today. Wearing sweatpants. Maybe it's that you're major. Maybe it's that you're trying the best that you can be, because you're here, guys. You made it here. Someone said, I would say don't rush it. You may not be everything you want to be by 25 or 30, but when it comes, it's a beautiful thing. With age comes knowledge and experience, and enjoy the journey. Someone else said, enjoy the journey. You don't graduate and suddenly have everything you've ever wanted. The white picket fence, the dog, kids. After college journey, you'll work your butt to achieve the dreams that college helped to create. Take a breath and enjoy it. Also know that you don't have to know or have everything at once. Someone else said, be curious, not judgmental. Simplify. Speak what you think today in hard words, and tomorrow speak in hard word what tomorrow thinks, though it contradicts what you said today. I was like, oh, that's deep. The powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. Dismiss what insults your soul. With greatness will come failure. It's inevitable. The only aspect of failing that will cause you to lack greatness is not failing forward. Stand up and fall forward. You'll instinctively put your arms out and catch yourself. If you fall backwards, though, you lose control. Never underestimate the value and lessons learned from failure and perseverance, and also the power of a positive attitude and mindset. I could go on and on, guys. I had like 15 people comment, and so I'm not going to go keep on going on and on. But this ends it. Talk about having a long-term vision and goals. Everything is focused on weekend to weekend for most students. Guys, what do you want to do when you leave Iowa Central? Does anyone want to share? Okay, you don't have to share. But I'm going to say, in your notebook, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever it may be, what do you want to do whenever you leave here? Your plans are probably going to change, guys. I planned on being a traveling tech and traveling the world, and then I met my husband my second year of college. Your plans are going to change, and that's okay. But my last thing, be you. How many of you, can you raise your hand? Maybe you won't. Inside, because you might not want to raise your hand because the person next to you will find out that you're not really you. Are you truly, see, I didn't even stay on my notes. Are you truly living on purpose, for a purpose? Because my purpose is so much bigger than I am. If I think that I've arrived, I'm no longer pushing myself. Go out and push yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. Mom and dad aren't here. Your roommate, they really don't care whether you're in the best shape of your life, getting your homework done. It has to be you. It has to come from that inner voice. So go back to those tips that Andrea and Katie also said about taking care of yourself with the sleep, the working out, the eating healthy. Start there, but also believe in yourself, because you have a great support system. Whenever I see Jeff, Rochelle, they believe in you, and trust me, they want to see you succeed too. So have a blessed day.